Hey guys, Zach from 7th Hour Films back again with Doctor Who. Last time on Doctor Who, we had the pilot, where we met a young girl named Bill, and she was sort of attending a university, not officially, but she was sneaking into lectures, specifically the doctor's lectures, because the doctor had been teaching at a university for, like, some people say 75 years. And everyone loved his lectures, and she snuck in, even though she wasn't a student. And she had this friend slash romantic interest, a girl with a star in her eye, which was actually really, really cool. I kind of wish I had a star in my eye. Like that just sounds like cool, like diachromatic eyes. Like, oh, that'd just be awesome. Anyway, not the point. But yeah, she was absorbed by a intergalactic oil spill, and then she was chasing Bill throughout time and space once the Doctor was able to get involved, and they started to run away, and then eventually they realized, like, oh, she just needs to let Bill go, and then she did, and then the Doctor was like, okay, now I'm gonna make you forget everything you've seen. But he doesn't, and then he's like, I don't want to take another companion, but fine, I will. And so now he has taken Bill as his new companion, and also Nardole was there. That was pretty much it. It was a great first episode, and I'm excited to see where we are going in this one. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into this episode of Doctor Who. Here we go. Hello there. If you're watching this, it's because that I've tried to upload this video about 3 or 4 times now, and each time it's been blocked for some weird reason. But that's okay, because there is still a way to watch the reaction to this episode. What you gotta do is head down in the description or to the pinned comment. Click on the link there. Generally, it'll be to Dailymotion. However, there is another link over to Google Drive if you would prefer to use that, or the Dailymotion link doesn't work, or what have you. But go click on that link. That will take you over to the reaction, and it's pretty much just the normal reaction, just like anything else. It's edited, it's nice and good. There's footage in the corner and stuff. You can watch it just like any other reaction, and when you're done with that, I do highly encourage you to pop back over to this YouTube video so that you can watch the discussion for this episode of whatever show I'm putting this clip in. So yeah. In the meantime, I will sit here and let you go watch that. Also, for your viewing pleasure, is also my sleeping dog. Hope you enjoy that too. So yeah, that is pretty much that. Again, link in the description, and when you're done with that, pop right back over here for the discussion. Let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty, that's episode 2. What a good episode, man. Very fascinating, you know? Like, it's... You know, at the end, you really can't blame the guy for being, like, pissed about everything. It's like, yeah, oh, these things, they killed our people and stuff. It's like, you really can't blame him. On the other hand, yeah, he's not listening to what the Doctor is saying, you know? The Doctor is saying, like, yeah, it's not really why, you know, they didn't just kill your people to kill them, you know? Speaking of, cast. Yeah, it is. That was Gita. I knew I recognized her. That was Gita from the Sarah Jane Adventures. Yeah, Ronnie's mother. Oh, man. That's cool. Even if it was just a cameo, that was really cool. It was cool seeing her. Alrighty, that... So again, like, you can understand why this guy is pissed. And yeah, when it's like, you know, they're attacking and then just suddenly it's over. And then he's just like, wait, these are our robots. We, you know, built them. You know, they work for us. And now it's like, yeah, nope. None of that anymore. I mean, basically, it's either this or you would have all been killed. So, you kind of stuck with this. Neither of these options are the option that you wanted when you came here, but It's better than the other option. This option's better than, genocide. So, yeah. That's essentially what that boils down to is, you just gotta kind of roll with it. So, oh well. But it's interesting, well, first off, just a factory reset, basically. Like, that was really funny. That is just a factory reset. So, the Vardy have completely forgotten about the humans and everything. To them, they are just like, oh, we exist. This city, well, it's made of us, so I guess it's ours. Oh, who are you? Oh, you want to live here? Sure, we can work with that. We can figure that out. That's basically what's happened with the Vardy, It does, it's kind of interesting, when he says, like, oh, well, they killed our people, and the doctor's like, yeah, well, they don't remember doing that, Which, you could think, like, well, does that sort of leave the possibility open that they could do it again? Like, are they going to sort of get to that point again where they do start killing people? Well, that depends on what happens, because the thing is that the reason they got there was because of the programming they had. It's the whole HAL 9000 thing, it's like, where there, it's like, oh, well, the mission, you got to complete the mission no matter the cost. Well, some of the cost for HAL 9000 was slight spoilers, which is hilarious because I've actually never seen 2001, but I know of it. But it's like, yeah, even though it's like it has to complete its mission, even if that means harming the crew, it's sort of the same thing here. Their job was to keep people happy. And when they saw grief and they needed to, like, okay, we need to eliminate grief. How do we do that? We kill the people that are grieving. That was really just their programming. They don't have that programming anymore. Now they're just new life forms. All they know is, we exist. This is our city because it's built of us. And here are some humans that also want to live here. That's basically all they know. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, yeah, they lost their memory, so are they redeemed for what they did? Kinda, yeah. Honestly, it's like, yeah, honestly, okay, what it basically results in is, I think for the guy, for him it was more that, what was his name, by the way? I can't just call him the guy. I swear it was like Ted or something. Steadfast. Okay, that's not Ted. Okay, I thought it was like Ted, but no, his name is Steadfast. Okay. Anyway, normally when I like make up names, like and I've done this, the most recent one I can think of is on like Doctor Who Classic, when like I kind of make a joke of like the Daleks sort of trash talking each other, and they're just like, maybe if you didn't walk right into it, Bill, but Bill doesn't work anymore because now we have Bill Potts, so that's hilarious. So yeah, it's like I'm trying, like the next like generic name I can think of is like Ted. So that's what I came up with, but no, his name is Steadfast. But I also noticed, like, wasn't the kid was named Praiseworthy and Gita was like Good Thing? It's like, what the hell kind of names are these, It's like, geez, you know what? I long for the simplicity of Bill, It's also interesting that my two generic names are Bill and Ted. Huh, I didn't even think about that. Wow, isn't that hilarious? Anyway. But yeah, for Steadfast, it's like, he's thinking like, oh, this is, murder. They wanted to commit genocide and stuff. But honestly, with what the doctor says, basically, the doctor and Bill are basically saying that this isn't murder. This was just a tragedy, basically. This was a misunderstanding that became a tragedy. But you can sort of move on from that. It's not exactly a murder, It's like if the brakes go out on someone's car and they, slam right into a tree and die. that's not necessarily anyone's fault. Like, you don't, like, okay, maybe you'd be like, oh, well, it's because the brakes went out. Like, yeah, that's why, but you don't really immediately be like, oh, well, the dealership screwed up. It's like, well, no, the brakes went out because something developed in the car later, Like, a problem developed later, and then it just wasn't fixed, And now it's basically like, okay, you know what it is now? Now, instead of just, the brakes going out and dying, to like hitting a tree, basically, now it's the brakes were starting to go out, and maybe you hit something, but you didn't total it, no one died, maybe you get minor injuries, and now the doctor has come in and, basically fixed the brakes, Them's the brakes. The doctor basically comes in and fixes the brakes, and you can't just sit here and be like, oh, well, those brakes, they were clearly trying to kill us. Like, well, no, there was just a problem, and now it has been fixed. Are you gonna blame the brakes now? Like, yeah, there was a problem. It did result in something bad, but now it's sort of over. And yeah, you can still harbor feelings, negative feelings for the brakes that, were pretty faulty on your car, but you can't do it anymore, basically. Does this allegory make any sense? This comparison? Does it make any sense what I'm talking about? I hope so. I'm really trying to figure something out here. So, granted, you've all seen the episode, you probably already get it, and you don't need my dumb brake analogy. Analogy? Is it an analogy, not allegory? Yeah, analogy. That's it. Okay. So, yeah. Yeah, I guess that's basically what I'm trying to get at. So, to kind of go into the rest of the notes, first off, that opening scene was hilarious, with just Bill and the doctor on the TARDIS talking about stuff. I really did like that. I like how, it's like, oh, well, the TARDIS doesn't need a steering wheel. See, what you do is you choose a location, and then the TARDIS chooses a location, and then you sort of negotiate with the TARDIS where you're going to land. That is perfect. That is absolutely perfect way to describe how to fly the TARDIS. You really have to negotiate with her. And, yeah, the Doctor can go to many places. He can even, enslave the TARDIS to, a specific place like in Listen. But it's like, yeah, at the end of the day, it's really just negotiating with the TARDIS. The Doctor can go anywhere he wants, so long as the TARDIS approves, basically. So, I like that. We didn't really have Nardole in this episode, which I'm alright with, because, again, I don't really... He's there, and now he's not even there, But I did like the joke of, him sort of being strict with the Doctor and being like, you said that you cannot leave the Earth unless it's an emergency, And so it's like... So the Doctor's basically saying, like, okay, well... I'm just going to pop back up to my office. Don't worry. And then, Nardole gets out of there, closes the door, and it's like, yeah, we're leaving right now. He's not going to notice because this is a time and space machine. We can get back to exactly the moment we left, So I like that it's like, yeah, Nardole's being very strict about it, but the Doctor just does not care. So that was interesting. Again, we got talk about the vault. Don't know what's in that vault. Don't know, but we'll have to figure it out sometime. Excuse me. So, yeah, hopefully we'll figure out what's in the vault. I'm very curious to find out, so. Let's see. Smile emojis. I thought that was kind of funny. I thought that was pretty funny that it was emojis for, the communication of the future and stuff. So I thought that was pretty funny. And then, yeah, just, smile. Just keep smiling, That, I mean, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy, like, this idea. It's like, keep smiling or they will kill you. And it's like, oh, geez. So, yeah. Let's see. The colony was pretty interesting. So, I did like that idea that it's like, okay, this is a colony. At first I was kind of getting confused. I was like, wait, is this like a hotel or something? But no, it's a colony that was set up ahead of time, which is interesting. It was set up ahead of time in order to, accommodate all these colonists. Granted, it's, they were saying like, oh, well, it was set up and the colonists will be here someday, But that's not actually what happened. The colonists were already there, but they were in cryosleep waiting until the colony was completely prepared. So it is sort of, that, but not that, basically. So I like that. I also like when, it's like, okay, here's the food, this blue Jello stuff. And it's like, Bill gets 1 cube and the doctor gets 2. And it's like, well, wait, why does he get 2? And I like her even saying, it's like, what, is there sexism in the future too? And it's like, no, I like the idea that it registers both of his hearts as 2 different people. Which is honestly, yeah, that's very true, because the human race, I mean, granted, by this time, you would think the humans would have met other aliens and stuff, but yeah, they would generally just register, at least in the programming for the Vardy, they would have, I am saying that right, by the way, yes, am I? I hope so. The Vardys, yes, I got it, okay. So, but the programming for the Vardys would be to scan for humans. And so their, definition of human is just 1 heart. So the doctor walks in with 2 hearts, and so they think he's 2 people, and they put down, even though they only put it on 1 plate, they do put it for 2 people. So I thought that was really funny. I wonder what that tastes like. Just this cube of Jello. And that was the other thing too. It's like, okay, here's a little cube of Jello. It's like, I look, it's Jello. Honestly, you could just pick it up and like down it without even like chewing, it's Jello. You can slurp it down like easily. But meanwhile, Bill, she gets this little cube of Jello. She gets the fork and the knife and she starts cutting into it. It's like, well, you don't need to do that, Bill. You can just eat it in one go. So, I don't know. I just thought that was kind of funny, too. That it's like, here's... The entire meal is just this one little cube of Jello, and you still have to use, like, a fork and a knife for it. So, I don't know. I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, I wonder what that tastes like. Like, does it taste like specific foods? Like, do you want, like... Could I get something that, like, tastes like a pizza? But would that be weird? Like if you got a little cube and it's, a cube of Jello and it feels like Jello, but then you taste like a pepperoni pizza. Is that weird? I don't know. Oh, man. Let's see. I wrote down not escape, and this also ties into the helpline, which I thought was very clever. That they go back to the TARDIS so that Bill will be safe in the TARDIS. The TARDIS is away from the city, and it's the TARDIS. She'll be safe in there, And the Doctor is going back in, and, at first it's like, okay, well, yeah, they got back to the TARDIS, like, well, okay, I guess we're done, It's like, but obviously they can't just be done, The episode's still going, so what are we doing here? But yeah, I like, when the Doctor says... Because sometimes it's, just his general curiosity. He's just like, oh, I gotta figure out how it works and stuff. And so he runs back into danger. Oh, excuse me. But instead, I like that that it's like, no, he has to go back because, at least at the time, he was under the assumption that the colonists are going to be, landing here soon. And they're going to be completely taken out, So he had to go and prevent that. And I like all the talk of, him sort of being the... space police, basically. He goes from place to place and he solves problems, Which, yeah, as much as the Doctor can try to deny it, that is honestly what he does, He's just, like, not, I guess, official about it. I don't know. But that's what he does. He goes from place to place and he helps people, so... but it's interesting that he sort of tries to deny that. Even, his line of, like, no, I don't go to a place and help people. I happen to be passing by, and then I somehow get involved. Like, it kind of reminds me of another. Actually, it reminds me of the other episode where there was like humans that have escaped Earth, the Beast Below, where the 11th Doctor is telling Amy, it's like, my number one rule is I never get involved. It's like, bull crap, you never get involved. Don't even give me your garbage, Doctor. You always get involved. But I guess that's sort of the remnants of when he first started, where it's like he didn't want to get involved. He does get involved sometimes, but I'm thinking of like just recently on Doctor Who Classic, we watched the Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve, where the Doctor wasn't getting involved, really. Stephen was getting involved, but the Doctor didn't want to get involved, and he specifically says, like, I cannot change history. If all these people die in the massacre, then they die. I cannot change the course of history, and that sort of drove Stephen away. But yeah, it's like, I think that's what the Doctor, like, even after all this time, the Doctor sort of still holds on to that. Like, no, I don't want to get involved in things. I'm not, this policeman who goes around and helps and stuff. But it's just that I happen to get involved. When that's just a complete lie. Basically, like, the Doctor is lying to himself about that. So, yeah. So I like that. Let's see. Again, leave Earth. It sort of reminds me of the Beast Below. Although, in the Beast Below, they said that was because of the destruction of Earth, wasn't it? It was... I think it was more that, whereas this was more like, oh, well, the humans were basically tearing each other apart, and, there was all this war and stuff that multiple ships left the Earth, basically, to start over. And I like his line of saying, like, yeah, I've met a few of them before, which, can be a reference, possibly, I guess, to The Beast Below. Also, the latest episode that we watched on Doctor Who Classic was The Ark, where, yeah, the Doctor, Stephen, and Dodo all met up with this, whole thing, this whole ship of people that were watching over, the human race that were in, like, this sort of suspended animation. So it is a lot like this, so I like that. That was pretty cool. So yeah. Of course, in here, they were all in cryosleep, but in the Ark, they were all miniaturized, so yeah. That's pretty interesting. So yeah, that was pretty interesting. And again, leaving Earth. And okay, what does this say about our world when, Bill is going through like the history of the world in this book, and she sees like all these images and stuff. And when she starts to get like oh, these like, wars that happened in like the modern age, like look at all these wars and stuff. And I'm just sitting here like, yeah. Oh, that was what drove the people away? Oh, I thought that was like last week. Like, what does that say when I'm just sort of sitting here like, yeah, that happens. It sucks, but it happens. And I'm like, oh, wait, that's what's supposed to be the reason why, humans have left the Earth. Like, ooh, okay then. So yeah, that was unfortunate, let's say. So yeah. I like the explanation. So it took a little while for them to sort of get around to the actual explanation, but I like this idea that it's like, okay, so, the Vardy were programmed to, make the humans happy, satisfaction, which is why they had, the badges. But then when people were, starting to grieve for, this the first person that died, the Vardy were like, okay, grief, that's not happiness, so we need to eliminate it. And they decided in the most robotic way, like, well, how do we eliminate grief? We destroy the thing that has it. So they were killing the people. Unfortunately, that caused more grief, and then this whole massacre started, basically. Which is very creative, very clever, actually. It's like, it honestly is very HAL 9000. It's like, yeah, they were just doing what they were programmed to do. So I like that. And then, it's an interesting solution, too, because I'm sitting here, for the longest time, like, okay, yeah, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? And it's like, the Doctor being like, oh, well, if I sound confident, they'll think that I have a plan, but I don't. until eventually he realized, like, oh, so they have sort of their own sort of sentience, you know? They have sort of become this new life form, and he's like, okay, how about I just do a factory reset? And he does. He does a factory reset, so they retain their sort of sentience, and they know that they are living creatures, but they just forget everything, you know, pretty much all the programming they got from the humans. So they're just like, oh, we are life forms, this is our place, and these humans want to crash here. Okay, well, we can work with that. And I like the joke about, you know, it's like, shall we, you know, go over rent? And then just the euro signs pop up in their eyes. I thought that was really funny. So, yeah, that was it was an interesting solution. And again, you can understand sort of the frustration with Steadfast. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, you just sort of have to move on, you know? It's a very weird thing, you know, where it's like, yeah, you just sort of have to move on from this, you know? It sucks, but live with it, I guess? Yeah. So, and then at the end, we are in London, and there's an elephant, and it's snowy, foggy. It's not good. It's not good, and that will be next episode, which is pretty cool. So again, I'm kind of wondering if this will sort of be the thing of the Doctor and Bill sort of going everywhere but back to his office and just avoiding Nardole. That maybe, at least maybe for an episode or two. That'd be kind of funny. So, yeah. So, yeah. That's pretty much it. Really did love this episode. I thought this was really, really interesting, and I'm very curious to see where we are going next time. So, with all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch more of my Doctor Who reactions, you can click on the playlist, you can subscribe if you haven't done that already, and be sure you hit that notification bell. You can support me on Patreon and follow me on social media, links below in the description. See you guys later.